Tonight on Sports Machine, what happened to an Australian athlete when he found himself caught up in a coup?
Apparently a few people have been shot. We've been hearing the gunfire. They reckon that 2 people have been killed already.
Nick Morozov tells his version of that dramatic night in Moscow. Turning Japanese, looking Japanese, but definitely Brazilian. A baseball team with an identity crisis. Plus an international science breakthrough that's giving Australian amputee athletes a leg up for the future. And one of the world's best football teams coming to grips with defeat. That's tonight on Sports Machine.
Hello and welcome to the penultimate edition of Sports Machine. We'll be going right through until next Thursday, December the 19th, and we've got plenty of good stories for you over our next 2 shows. And first tonight, a truly amazing yarn. When Nick Morozov went to the Soviet Union earlier this year, the only social change he wanted to see was a greater awareness of wheelchair sport in the world's greatest sporting power. What he ultimately witnessed was a coup, 2 changes of government, and the disintegration of the Union. Lauren Lord met the man who, despite trying times, still hopes to crack the biggest wheelchair market in the world.
2 characteristics about Nick Morozov stand out: his showmanship and his attitude to life. As a youngster, he embraced his Russian heritage and became an acclaimed folkloric dancer. Then, at 23, Nick woke up. He was in a hospital bed, paralysed from a freak car accident. When his doctor told him he would never walk again, all he could ask was, I suppose dancing is out of the question. But now, 12 years later, that life is almost too full of alternatives to Russian folkloric dancing.
Yeah, Colin? G'day, mate. A couple more jobs for...
I think he just enjoys himself, he enjoys life, and he's good to be around.
Preoccupation number 1 for Nick Morozov is his full-time job as a computer analyst. The company generously allows Nick time off to train for preoccupation number 2, basketball. Being talented at this game has meant extensive travel in Australia and overseas, including the LA Olympics. And were it not for a broken arm in a water skiing accident, he would have been in Seoul in 1988.
Person is good, he's got a lot of experience, and being young I look up to him and ask him for advice in basically every aspect of life. So he's good, great guy.
Very playful. The most outgoing person I've ever met in my life.
Barcelona 92 is next on his Olympic agenda if preoccupation number 3 doesn't get in the way. Rather than lay back and bask in his own sporting success, Nick wants to take other wheelies along for the ride. Promoting events such as the Oz Day 10K road race is part of his role as self-appointed wheelchair sports missionary. It's a career move that recently landed him in the middle of a coup.
At the moment, there's a bit of a tension in the air. Heaps of people out there sort of standing by, getting ready for some sort of onslaught of tanks or whatever. In the distance you can hear a bit of gunshot, but it's only a little bit. The crowds are still out there. There's hundreds and thousands of people out there. Apparently a few people have been shot. We've been hearing the gunfire. They reckon there's 2 people have been killed already.
Nick went to Russia to start up wheelchair sports. But on top of the revolution was the revelation that the task at hand was more difficult than first thought.
This is a bit this sadder side of things.
Yeah.
You know, people without legs just laying around in the gutters, more or less. Legless blokes. Very common. This is really common.
You're kidding.
Yeah. Incredible, isn't it? That's on the tour we went.
It's almost like a third world country, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd call it a third world country.
Yeah. The official Soviet line was that the handicapped didn't exist. The claim was that all paralysed people were cured and put back on their feet. The reality today is some 300,000 Russians without wheelchairs.
You've got to give them wheelchairs, you've got to teach them how to use them, you've got to teach them that they can go back into society and live like humans. You've got to make them aware that that there is a potential for them to be in society. And then using wheelchair sport as a basis for the rehab, to build up your physical esteem and to have the power to be first or to win. And also to have a good time. I mean, sport is to have a good time.
Back on the home front, there is still one more job to be done. What about his wheelchair basketball? Do you watch that much?
Not very much. I'm very upset in watching the boys in the wheelchair.
Why is that?
Make me sick.
Can you understand your mother being upset by watching them play?
Yeah, she's a bit frail in the sense that, we have a lot of smashes and collisions, and a lot of people get the idea that we're very frail, but we're pretty robust, and, we smash our wheelchairs up, and she doesn't like the old wheelchairs smashing up and her son landing on the floor, which I end up maybe 3 or 4 times in a game.
Nick's final and perhaps lifelong challenge is to change the attitude of the able-bodied